What's up guys, Kyle here again, and today we are checking out the all-new Friedman IR-X Dual Tube Preamp Pedal. Let's do it! Alright guys, hope you're doing great out there today. If this is your first time here at my channel, my name is Kyle, and what I do is I take all sorts of awesome high gain related guitar equipment, record it with a simple setup, and I give you the unprocessed audio on your end. And today, hold on to your wallets, ladies and gentlemen, because we have from Dave Friedman and Friedman Amplification, and that is the IR-X Dual Tube Preamp Pedal. So when I first saw this pedal and didn't really take a look at the write-up, I kind of just thought that it was a tube version of this, the Friedman BEOD Deluxe. Now, this is actually my favorite preamp pedal. Like, this thing sounds incredible. You can really get some great tones ranging from the low gain, crunchy Marshall stuff to like all out, super tight, modern, high gain. Legitimately, the original BEOD was the first pedal that really turned me on to preamp pedals, and I'm like, oh, these are actually good now. So when I saw this and immediately thought, oh cool, they're making a tube version of this pedal, I actually got really excited, but this is actually much more than just a tube version of this pedal, and they're in sound, they're actually a good bit different from each other. So with the IR-X Dual Tube Preamp Pedal, not only do you get like that tasty Friedman edge of breakup kind of, you know, cranked plexi type thing, and also those modern, polished, harmonically rich, like high gain tones that Friedman is known for, but you also get some really cool and modern features with this thing. Now, this pedal was actually made to be more of a direct to front of house kind of live solution, as opposed to a preamp pedal that just goes into the front of a clean amp. So this thing is made with an actual impulse response loader built into this, and it has its own control software. You can hook it up via the USB port on the back, and you can kind of control a lot of the functionality and create your own presets, which can then be used via an external MIDI controller. Now, this thing has like something like 16 presets that you can control via MIDI after you program them in the software that we're gonna take a look at, which makes this an incredibly useful live tool, especially if you're going front of house and you don't wanna bring your entire rig along, or maybe you've got a fly date and you're going to fly and play a gig or something, and literally all you need is this to plug into the front of the house. I wouldn't know anything about that because I am a belligerent amateur musician, but that's kind of who it was designed for, is a more professional musician who needs more options than somebody like me. But Friedman was nice enough to send this pedal out so I could share it with you guys here on the channel. This is a sponsored video, so I am being paid to share this with you guys. Feel free to take everything that I have to say with a grain of salt. You are more than fair to do so, but just remember, as always, I'm gonna give you my honest thoughts and opinions. So keep that in mind. All right, so let's do a quick overview of the physical features on this pedal. Let's hear a couple of sounds through a Blackstar Amped 1 power amp into a Friedman 412 cab with an SM57, and then we're gonna dive into the actual software, the control software, and see how this thing sounds going direct into my DAW. So on the front panel here, obviously we've got 2 different rows of controls, and each one of those rows is for a different channel. You get your standard bass, middle, treble, EQ controls. You've got your gain, you've got your volume, but you've also got a boost volume, which is, if you look down here on this button, foot switchable. So you can actually kick a boost in and out on each individual channel. Each individual channel has its own boost volume. And then on the side here, we've actually got boost gain controls for channel 1 and 2. Now these are the little mini pots. To adjust these, you're probably gonna need some sort of screwdriver or the edge of your pick to get in there, but they are there so you can fine tune that boost adjustment. And then back to the front of the pedal, channel 1 has a 3-way bright switch. Channel 2 has a 2-way tight switch. I think those are pretty self-explanatory. We'll check those out in the sound demo. But over here on this side of the pedal, each channel has its own impulse response 3-way switch. Now, this thing comes preloaded with 12 different impulse responses from Dave Friedman himself, from some of his classic speakers and classic cabinets. So you get a bunch of high quality impulse responses out of the box, which is a really nice feature. But if you have your own impulse responses that you know and you love and you're more comfortable with, on the software, you can actually go in and put those impulse responses on this pedal. Now, say you want to go into a power amp, you've also got the ability to completely bypass those impulse responses by holding in this button. It'll bypass it, and it's just like a tube preamp going into a power amp. So super cool feature there that just makes the pedal even more versatile. And then on the back here, you've got your input, you've got your balanced out, comes with a ground lift, you've got a headphone out, you've got an effects loop here. So you can use the effects loop on this as you would on the back of a normal amp, put all of your time-based effects and stuff like that in here. And there are a few different routing options. I'm not gonna get into all of them, but you can basically route this direct to front of house. You can route it directly into the effects return of a tube power amp if you want, but there are other more complex ways that you can kind of split that between the 2 functions. You can go to both if you hook this up correctly. I'm not exactly sure what the wiring is there, but I'll put a couple diagrams on the screen just so you guys can see what is actually available. But yeah, it's very versatile in the way that it can be hooked up. You've also got a headphone out if you want to use this thing to play silently. Then you've got your MIDI connection here, and that's how you can control all of your presets. And then finally, your USB connection, which is how you are going to get this thing to talk to the software, which again, we're going to check out. One thing I kind of glossed over is this is a 2-tube preamp pedal. The gain that you're getting out of this pedal is all tube. Those are not gimmick tubes. Like Dave Friedman wouldn't do something like that. The 12-volt power definitely tells me that this thing is getting the voltage it needs in order to actually drive those preamp tubes. So this is a true tube preamp pedal, guys. Pretty cool. This pedal is going to come in at $499, and if you guys want to grab it, I'll put some affiliate links below so you can help the channel if you decide to purchase this pedal after said demo. But I've already been talking too much like usual. Let's get into some belligerent amateur power chords going through a 4x12 cabinet. All right, guys, so for the intro clip and for the tone that you just heard, we were boosting the Friedman IR-X with a Westminster Effects Physician, which is a TS9 Tube Screamer style overdrive. We are going into the Amped 1 power amp by Blackstar. This is a really, really good sounding solid state power amp. And we are going into a Friedman BE412 with the greenbacks up top, V30s on the bottom. We've got a something, we're doing something, I don't know, I lost my train of thought. We've got an SM57 on the Vintage 30 going directly into the DAW with no post-processing, so this thing sounds very amp-like, and as I will tell you, as I am the person sitting here playing it, it feels very amp-like. Like there's actually a little bit of resistance, especially on that low end. It's got almost that typical like Marshall type thump to the low mids. If you guys have ever played a high gain Marshall boosted, you know exactly what I mean. It's tight and it's punchy, but it's got a little bit of a low mid thump. I am definitely feeling that and hearing that in the IR-X. So we were on channel 2 as you guys see it set up right here. But let's go ahead, let's switch over to channel 1 and let's hear how that sounds unboosted. This is gonna be more of a low gain, kind of gritty, broken up overdrive type sound. I did forget to mention I have a Gibson 498T bridge pickup in this guitar, and even though the switch is in the up position, I promise you it's on the bridge. because I know my own guitars. We've got a nice chimey top end. We can actually pull that treble back, maybe even boost the mids and the bass just a little bit. And let's pull that gain up. Now, one of the things that Friedman mentions in the literature of this pedal is it's supposed to be able to clean up really, really well with the volume control. So let's give that a shot. So not only does it clean up well with the volume control, but it also cleans up well depending on the dynamics of your playing. If you're playing the strings really, really hard, it's obviously going to introduce some more saturation and some more breakup. Let's go ahead and push that gain up quite a bit. All right, so super, super reactive to the overall control, the volume control, and the dynamics of your playing on this first channel. Now let's go ahead, let's kick in the boost. I've currently got it set up to give quite a bit of a boost to this channel, so it's more of a clean boost, like a signal boost, and less of, it's definitely not like a TS9. It's not gonna tighten things up. It's gonna fatten it up. It's gonna give you a nice lead boost if you're playing single note stuff. But one nice thing about that is you've got your own separate boost volume, so if you need a little bit more volume as well, let's kick that boost off. Here it is without. Kick it in. Nice and fat on those single notes, and that's really what the boost is going to be meant for on either channel. It's not a high gain boost like we typically use it. So let's kick that off. Let's go over to channel 2 because we are belligerent amateurs and we like high gain thrash riffs and power chords because that's all we know how to play here. All right, guys, so on this channel, we've got that typical Friedman, just very like harmonically rich, smooth and polished high gain sound going on. With that tight switch over, it's honestly tight enough without a boost that you could kind of get away with some thrashier stuff. But it also takes a boost very well. Let's kick in a regular old Boss SD1. Let's roll that gain back a little bit. So it crunches up really, really nicely, gets a lot of saturation going, sounds really, really good. That's the Friedman tone, if you ask me. Just smooth in the mids, a little bit polite up top, and we've got that thick, full, thumpy low end. Thumpy low end. Dude, what an awesome sounding pedal. Like, for my thrashier stuff, probably not the type of tone that I would use because I like things a little bit more raw and aggressive, but like for human animal, something, you know, a little bit more punk rock or a little bit more rock and roll. Dude, that sounds super, super thick. I would have a hard time believing that anybody would know that this is a tube preamp pedal and not an actual tube amp if they weren't hearing it on, like here in the room. It just sounds incredible. It responds to the right hand much like a big, fat, high-powered tube amp would. And it just has that Friedman thing going on all day, like all day. But let's check out that editor software and see what type of control you have over this unit with the software. Okay guys, so I know the question that you're wondering, and the answer is yes. I absolutely am using a 4x12 cab as a computer desk because Belligerent amateur. So we are in the Friedman IR-X editing software here. As you can see on my desktop, we've got an image of the pedal, and then we've got some sidebar controls here. We've got some top controls here. So just to kind of walk you through what is going on, you've got your image of your pedal. Some of the controls on the pedal are controllable via this software, but not all of them. You can't control the actual individual parameters of the knobs. You can't control the bright or the tight switches. I don't know if that's something that they plan on programming in later, but personally, I think that it would be kind of helpful, especially when you go into the preset type stuff, because if you're changing through a bunch of presets on here and you want to basically check out what you have saved, it's not going to show you the actual controls of each individual preset. So unless you like write it down or put a note in a notepad on your desktop or something, it probably kind of easy to forget what preset is what. But that was just something I wanted to know off the bat. Maybe, you know, that's something they plan on changing in the future, but as of right now, pre-release, it's not showing those controls or allowing you to change them. So with that being said, let's dive into the actual software here. Hopefully I didn't piss anybody off too bad about that, but I just thought it was a little goofy personally. So that's just me. Going over here, channel 1, going over here on the channel side. So what we have are our impulse responses that I was talking about. These are the 3 individual switchable impulse responses that can be controlled via the pedal. So over here we've got a 6402 speaker with a 57. We've got just a regular old V30. I'm not sure what mic. And then down here, we've got a 1980 Marshall B cab with a V30 greenback. They give you 12 altogether. And if you want to change those, you can kind of go in and you can kind of start switching through them. And you can audition them as you switch through. So as you can see, it gives you kind of a description of the cabinet and everything and each individual speaker on the built-in impulse responses. I think that's really cool. I like the history behind that stuff, and I also like to know what I'm playing through. And also on each channel, you've got a power amp simulation, which gives you controls over the presence and the thump. I kind of like things in the middle the best personally. It's the most balanced. That's where things sound the most natural to me. But if you want more thump, click it to the right, less thump. Click it to the left, and then kind of same with the presence. But as I said, that middle selection is kind of like your healthy balance of everything. You also get the ability to add in your own impulse responses, which again, super nice touch because you may have a very familiar impulse response that you love and you gravitate towards no matter what you're playing through. So I'm gonna go in and load in one of those. This is the York Audio Marshall 4x12 Blackback impulse response pack. We're gonna go in and we're just gonna go right to that good old 57. And that sounds awesome to me. And again, we have controls over this, so if we want to go in and we want to add a little bit more treble, take out a little bit of mid and add some bass and some gain. Now we can store that, and that will be our setting number 1. So if we flip over to setting 2, it's going to change all of our stuff. That takes us over to channel number 1, because that's the preset that this is on. But if we go back over to that program 0, that brings back everything that we had just set up on that previous preset. And again, you get 127. Get 127 different programmable presets in here. That's actually pretty insane. In the software, you will also get the ability to bypass the IR via a switch on the software. sounds pretty bad. But if you wanted to use your own impulse response loader inside your DAW, or you just didn't want the impulse response on for some other reason, again, there are so many ways to route this that you can do different things. You can bypass that. You can bypass the loop in case you have time-based effects already set up in the loop, or a specific lead, EQ boost or volume boost or something like that. You can directly bypass that. And you can do all this on the pedal as well, but if you're kind of coming in here and trying to build presets, it's a little easier to do that. And then you have your boost switch, channel switch, all very cool stuff. And then over here you have your MIDI controller. I'm a belligerent amateur, guys. I don't use MIDI for anything. I really don't even know how to use it in most situations. I do know that you can flip through different stuff with the MIDI controller and use your presets and stuff like that. So that's that. So let's hear a couple of these direct in tones and then we'll call it a day. Let's, Man, that York Audio Black Bag impulse response sounds awesome, but let's check some of the built-in impulse responses. Just green. You guys know, if you've been watching the channel, I've been on a greenback kick lately. That does not disappoint. That actually sounds really, really good. Really, really good, actually. I really like that. Let's dial up some mids. Let's pull that bass back just a little bit. That sounds awesome. All right, let's scroll over just a tad here. See what else we got. 640257. So I actually don't know what the 6402 greenback is. I'm assuming that's a different model number or maybe a different cone. That one definitely sounds a little bit more hollow. That one definitely sounds a little bit more mid-forward. It's pretty interesting. Got the 65 watt. And of course the Royer R121 and SM57 combo. That's a great sounding impulse response right there. Very full. Greenback 65. Don't hate how that sounds. Ooh, we've got an EV12L. Now we're talking. That's pretty interesting. Really, really cool sounding impulse response there. I am not a lead player, so I apologize. That playing was not good, but oh, check this out. So Dave did a Mesa Rectifier V30 impulse response on here. That is interesting. Definitely darker, definitely a little bit more nasal, as you would expect from a Mesa V30. That's the SM57 MD421 mic combination. That sounds really cool to me. Greenback V30 mix, dude. Like these are really good. All right, so yeah, obviously guys, Tons of great tones coming out of this thing. The ability to hook this up in multiple different ways, so you can not only put it straight to front of house if you want, but put it through a power amp so you can get some stage volume, or you want an actual tube-based solution to your home digital recording setup. Like, this thing serves multiple purposes, and Dave has really kind of thought this out very well to be useful in each one of those. It's not like they tacked on certain features just to throw them in there and, you know, give the facade of versatility. Like, everything is well thought out. Software is very simple and easy to navigate. This is about as easy as it gets for controlling an external piece of hardware with software. The built-in impulse responses are great. The functionality of the pedal is awesome. And again, it's tube. That's tube distortion that you guys are hearing. This pedal is out today, $499. Affiliate links, if you want to pick this up, are down below in the description. That helps the channel out at the same time. Thanks again to Friedman for sending this over, sponsoring this video. Want to know your guys' thoughts? Let me know down in the comments of this video. What did you think about how this sounds? What do you think about the functionality? And if you were to get one, how would you guys use it? Always curious to hear from you. And I'll meet you down there to chat about it, of course. That's gonna do it for me, guys. Thanks so much for watching. Kyle here again. We'll see you next time.